welcome to ABC Interactive English. Hello everyone, I'm Mike.
And hi, I'm Rainbow.
And today we are going to be doing something not so fun. We're going to be talking about a big exam. Now the good news is we won't be taking the exam, you won't be taking the exam, and actually for the characters in the dialogue, it's a little bit of good news. They're talking after the exam.
Okay,
so
that's better.
Finished.
It's done.
It's over, but like many people, you might leave the classroom after finishing the exam and say, what did you think? Did you do well? Was it hard? Did you get all the answers? That's the kind of conversation we will be looking at. But let's think back. When was the last time you had an exam?
Oh,
probably back in school. Can you remember how you used to prepare for your exams?
Yeah,
Ooh, okay.
yeah. I would study a lot.
Good for you.
Around like 4 or 5 days before the exam. Would study a lot.
That's
and
smart.
then the one day before, I would sort of take a break and try to do something else.
Okay.
And then sleep pretty early.
So you weren't the kind of person cramming before the exam, staying up the night before, reading everything, trying to put all that information.
I couldn't.
I think that's better the way you did it, for sure. Yeah, okay. Very interesting. How about you guys? Do you have your own ways of preparing for exams? Maybe follow Rainbow's advice and prepare a few days before. Don't get yourself all stressed out by staying up late right before the exam, the night before. Or I've also read that some things would be good to eat. Maybe eating fish is very good for your brain.
Oh yeah, for your memory and your eyes.
Yeah, drinking green tea can also be good for your brain. Or chewing gum if they allow you to do that.
Stay awake.
I don't know, it might be okay. It might be a good idea
Good
or
tips.
It might just be something to keep you calm before the big exam. So let's find out how it went for the two characters in our dialogue and then we'll be back to talk about it. May and Patrick are outside the exam room exit.
How do you think you did on the exam?
I'm not sure. Some parts were a piece of cake. Other parts were a little hard.
I didn't think the exam was easy at all. I knew it would be difficult, so I reviewed a lot beforehand.
All right, so let's get started with part B. We're gonna take a big exam. That's what this part is called. What's going on today?
Well, it says there, May and Patrick are outside the exam room exit. So yes, we are actually after the exam. This is the exam room exit. So they are leaving the big room there at the school where they all had the exam. And what is an exam? Well, you guys probably know. It's a test. An exam is usually a bit longer and bigger than your normal test. So if we want to think about how long these things are, you might have a quiz, which is very short, a test, which is a little longer, and an exam. Many schools might have exams twice a semester. You might have one in the halfway, in the middle of the school semester, and then right at the end, the final exam. They will ask you questions about all the things you've been learning for the past few months at school. Exams can be big, they can be stressful, they can also be very important, and if you're in school for any reason, probably you will have to take some. I'm sorry.
Now, we're finished with the exam, so we're going to leave through the exit, which is the opposite of the entrance. That's where you come in. The exit is where you leave. So when you're at a movie theater, if you're at some kind of school or exam room, there's going to be a sign that says the exit, or somebody will show you the way out, and that's called the exit.
And we can also, of course, use it as a noun. To leave the building or leave the room is to exit through the exit, the special door for getting out. All right, let's get to our dialogue, see what's going on. Patrick begins. He asks that big question, the first question you ask when you see your friend after the exam. How do you think you did on the exam, he says. You can also just say, how do you think you did? How do you think you did on the exam? What is your feeling about it? Do you feel that you got a good grade or was it really, really difficult? Let's find out.
I'm not sure. Some parts were a piece of cake, other parts were a little hard. I guess that's normal, right?
Okay, that's a pretty mixed review. Some parts were a piece of cake. Some parts were a little hard. A piece of cake meaning very easy.
Simple.
The opposite of hard or difficult. Patrick says, I didn't think the exam was easy at all. It was not a piece of cake for him in any way. It was quite difficult, but he seems prepared. He says, I knew it would be difficult, so I reviewed a lot beforehand. Yeah, so he was prepared. He had a feeling, or maybe the teacher kind of said, you know, this exam will not be easy. You guys need to be ready. You need to study or review a lot because it will be quite a difficult exam. At least they were prepared. And you can prepare for things, yes, by studying or reviewing. This is another way of kind of saying studying, but basically you're looking over information that you've seen before, but you're looking at it again. You are reviewing it or looking at it another time. Another chance to look at something is a chance to review it. Often when you're writing an exam, it's good at the end of the exam, go back, read all of your answers, make sure you wrote your name in the right place. We review things to remember them better and also just to make sure that we didn't make any mistakes the first time we did it.
And you definitely want to review beforehand because you have to do that before you turn it in.
Reviewing after is too late.
Too late. It's only for the next test. Beforehand is before you do something. So not after, but before. So that's one word, beforehand, and you put it when you're indicating the time when you would do something. So if I am going to buy some soap beforehand, that's before I take my trip, or I'm going to review the test beforehand, that's before I turn it in. So we want to do that before something so we are prepared.
Yeah, it's a very useful word because it just kind of saves you from saying, I will review things before I take the exam or before the test day.
Yeah, that's
you
a
can
bit
just
long.
say, I'll review beforehand, meaning earlier than that activity or that important day. So there you go. We're going to take a quick break right here, but don't worry, we will be back to find out more about the exam, how well they did, and some of the things they might have noticed when they were taking this big, important test. Come back soon.
When did you start to review?
After the last test, I reviewed some each night. Then I got really serious about reviewing 2 weeks ago.
Wow, that's a lot.
It wasn't that much since this exam is a big part of our score.
That's true.
All right, we are back with Patrick and May. They are both feeling quite relaxed now, probably. It's right after the big exam. They're talking about it, finding out if they did well, if they found it easy or difficult. I think May, she found it pretty easy, right? It was kind of a little bit mixed. Yeah, some parts were easy, some parts not so much. Patrick, though, he thought it was a difficult exam, but he was prepared for that. He expected it to be a difficult exam, so he started to review his notes and to do his studying. He started that very early, so he had lots of time to get ready, which of course is a great plan. Let's get back to our dialogue and find out exactly when Patrick started to get ready for the exam.
May ask, when did you start to review?
Okay, remember review? Look over your notes, go back and study, basically, the things you've already learned in the class. We can also point out here that for people studying in Britain, they might actually use other words. They might talk about revising for the exams. That's like studying for the exams or doing my revision, all right? Studying for my
Revision
test.
period.
Doing my revision. That's a word that they use more in the Britain, more in the UK, and not so much in North America. But it's all about studying and getting ready for a test or something like that. So Patrick says, after the last test, I reviewed some each night. Wow, this is a really good habit that Patrick has here. So they had a test in this class maybe a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. And then right after that, he started to get ready for this test. So he's already thinking a few weeks in advance. He started to prepare many weeks beforehand. He says, then I got really serious about reviewing 2 weeks ago. So maybe he was spending, 15 minutes, half an hour earlier studying after each class. And now he started to do it more seriously, maybe a few hours each night.
May's impressed. She says, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of studying.
That is a lot of studying, doing the little bits and then the bigger parts as the test day, as the exam day got closer. And he says it wasn't that much since this exam is a big part of our score. So he's thinking, yeah, I might have put in a few hours a day or, every week, 5 or 10 hours, but this is a big, important exam. It's a big part of our score. And that's the way they often use exams, right? An exam might be 40% of your total score. You do 2 of those exams, that's 80% of your total score, and all the other homework and quiz, and that's the other 20%. So you don't want to be lazy on the exam day. You might be finding it really hard to pass the class if you don't do well on those big, important exams.
May says that's true.
It is true. Yes, absolutely. Because, of course, you want to get the best score possible in your classes, your exams, your tests, your quizzes, even on your homework. What is a score? Well, it's basically a number value to show how well or how badly you have done something. In sports, of course, we might score points by putting a ball in a net, putting it through the net in basketball, scoring a goal in soccer. That is how you get a score. That is how you score, to use it as a verb. We can also talk about the final results as being the score. Now, in school, we also might use the word my grade or my marks. All right, your score, your grade, your marks. It could be a letter like an A+ or a B-. It could be out of 100, 79%, 92%, or it could be out of 10 or anything like that. But basically, they look at the answers. The ones you get right, you get points. The ones you get wrong, you get 0. And then at the end, we see how well you did by your final score or your final grade. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. We wish you all the best scores and grades in your exams, and we also hope, like Patrick, you start preparing very early. Take care of each other and yourselves, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye. May and Patrick are outside the exam room exit.
How do you think you did on the exam?
I'm not sure. Some parts were a piece of cake. Other parts were a little hard.
I didn't think the exam was easy at all. I knew it would be difficult, so I reviewed a lot beforehand.
When did you start to review?
After the last test, I reviewed some each night. Then I got really serious about reviewing 2 weeks ago.
Wow, that's a lot.
It wasn't that much, since this exam is a big part of our score.
That's true.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看一下这一课的重点单字。第一个 exam 名词考试。Lucy studied hard for the exam. Lucy 为了考试努力学习。下一个单字 exit 名词出口。The exit is on the left side of the building. 出口在这栋大楼的左侧。下一个单字 review 动词复习。I need to review my notes before the test. 我需要在考试前复习笔记。最后一个单字 score 名词分数成绩。Fiona got a high score on the math test. Fiona 在数学考试中得了高分。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 How do you think that 加主词加动词，你觉得什么怎么样？ Think 指的是认为觉得，之后的 that 要接完整的句子。我们来看看这个例句。How do you think Mia did on the test? 你觉得 Mia 考试考得怎么样？下一个文法 A piece of cake 轻而易举的事，这是一个固定用法。A piece of 加名词表示一片一块的什么。我们来看看这个例句。The exam was a piece of cake for Sally. 对 Sally 来说，这场考试轻而易举。最后一个文法 serious about 加上动词 ing， 认真做某事。Serious 是形容词，意思是认真的、努力的。About 之后也可以来接名词。我们来看看这个例句。Bill is serious about starting his own business. Bill 很认真地打算创业。以上就是这一课的重点单词跟文法，我们下一课再见，拜拜。
There is a place known as Taomi Eco-Village, which has a very unique origin story and has become a successful ecotourism spot for all to enjoy. Let's find out more about this eco-village. Taomi Eco-Village covers 18 square kilometers. It has a population of over 1,100 people. Before the 9/21 earthquake, Taomi Eco-Village used to be a landfill site. The local people mainly grew bamboo shoots for a living. However, they didn't make much money. Most young people moved away, looking for new jobs. After the earthquake, the young people returned to rebuild their homeland. They came up with the idea of changing the place. Taomi Eco-Village is located on a hill. There is a wide range of bird, butterfly, and dragonfly species. The local natural environment is great. New Homeland Foundation asked professors to give lessons to community members and train them to be local guides. They not only learned about the ecosystems, but also built a stronger sense of homeland identity. There is a carved stonefish at the entrance to the paper dome. It was built in honor of the beginning of the community transition. There were cooking classes given by local mothers. Now the community has numerous restaurants, guest houses, and campsites. Guides take tourists to see frogs at night or do other ecological activities. Now, ecotourism brings the community over 100 million NT dollars every year. Taomi Eco-Village reminds us of the importance of maintaining an eco-friendly environment. It is truly worth a visit to witness the hard work of a community to not only promote the importance of ecotourism, but also preserve the natural balance of the ecosystem.